Hey everybody, welcome to the VHS Bandits interview special. This episode we have Josh from Lunchmeat VHS joining us.
Yeah,
Hey, what's
all right.
Yo, what's up?
Dude,
What's
Josh.
happening?
Hey, man. Thanks for joining us today, dude.
Yeah, man, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Did I say that right? It is Lunchmeat VHS.
It is
Yeah,
Josh.
I mean, it's
Cool.
Lunchmeat VHS, whatever you want to call it. I mean, like, I feel like, the magazine and everything is called Lunchmeat, but I think, people reference it as Lunchmeat VHS, which, kind of discerns it, so it's totally cool with me, whatever
Yeah,
you want.
nice.
And that's
you know?
that's the Instagram handle too, right?
Yeah, it's like the Instagram handle, it's the URL, it kind of just, like, differentiates it from
Find it on
other
various,
Lunchmeat stuff.
Yeah.
various social medias.
Like Oscar Mayer and shit like that.
Yeah.
We
lunch
are
meat
not
bologna.
interviewing the Oscar Mayer guy. You are not the hot dog tycoon.
No, I'm not him. I'm not him, but I love his work. I love his work.
This got awkward.
So, yeah.
Josh or Meyer Wiener.
Topher's,
Josh Meyer, Wiener, cool.
Topher's
Dig
totally out of
Rewind-
it now.
Rewind Wiener.
Yeah. Oh, this is a
You're
great
gonna
start.
get
Hey.
a lot of fan wieners in the mail from me that I wanted you to sign. You can just return those to sender. You'll smell the package.
We gotta
Yeah,
open them up, and all the hot dog juice is gonna come out. All the hot dog water.
Ooh, gross.
Oh man, that hot dog water.
We'll just call it the. We should start a new thing and call it the hot dog water VHS. The new hot dog water VHS
That'll-
zine.
And
Yeah,
it's
we
really
roll
just the
right off the
runoff
tongue.
of his content.
Yeah, well, I'm really into snacks. I mean, snacks are a big part of my whole ritual. So,
Yeah, hence mid-fright snack, which we're gonna get into.
right, cool.
Awesome. So Josh, so for those of you guys listening who don't know Josh, which you really
Probably do.
should. What T?
No, I'm saying no. They probably do because,
Oh.
like, on it. Even before we started this podcast, Lunchmeat VHS was one of the VHS accounts that I've been following, and one of the first ones that I was like, oh shit, there's a bunch of VHS on Instagram and shit.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
so for those of you guys that don't know, Lunchmeat VHS is like that in terms of VHS culture. This is the go-to. This is so he's got his website, he's got his magazine, he's got the mid-fright snack, he's got shirts, patches, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff going on. So if you want to know anything and everything that's going on in the VHS world, Josh is the man who puts it all together. Woo!
Cool.
So, dude,
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. So how did you get into the V8? I guess I'm kind of rambling here.
I know
How'd
he's
you- yeah.
starstruck.
Oh my
He's so
God.
starstruck.
How'd you get into it? Probably growing up as a kid, did you frequent the video stores and it just kind of evolved from there? Were you always into specific genres? So how'd you get into it?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, I was born in '85, so I was always at the video store with my parents. In the '90s, every Friday night we would go to the video store and rent movies, get a pizza, get some subs, or just get takeout. And that was the family ritual. We went there, and like a lot of people, we just rent movies and stuff like that. I just grew up watching VHS. I mean, like a lot of people, but I mean, over the years, I started collecting. I think I started I've always had VHS, but I think I consciously started collecting when I was about 17 or 18. And that was 2003, 2004. So I mean, tapes were still $1.
Right,
And I
right.
think I've just always been a big cinephile. I've always been really into weird movies like horror, sex comedies, exploitation, animation. And it was just a really fantastic way to build my library. Really easy. They were just everywhere. Go to flea markets, 10 for $1, or just really accessible. And I started collecting VHS for that reason, to build my library, to get a bunch of cool movies.
Nice. Were you actively looking for stuff that you couldn't find on DVD? Do you still have DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I'm just really into movies, so I have ton of DVDs and stuff like that. I never really do the Blu-ray thing, but
That's fair.
I mean, I was just buying tapes because they were cheap, and because you could get tons of horror movies. There's X rentals everywhere. You know what I mean? So I mean, that was just really a way to build my library and to see a bunch of stuff I've never seen before. And, you know, like beautiful cover art and stuff like that's really attractive. So I was always picking up stuff like that.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
As a kid, what was like your go-to movie? Like if you couldn't decide on something, or if you didn't see something that was either in stock or you know, if there was anything that was too appealing that week, what did you have like a standby where it's like, oh yeah, I'll get, you know, I don't know, Richie Rich, or, you know, something weird. Hopefully it's
funny you
not
mentioned
specifically
Richie
Richie Rich.
No, but that movie's cool.
It is.
Mausoleum-
He had a
Mausoleum,
McDonald's in his house.
Mountaintop Motel Massacre. Let's see, Return of the
As a
Living
kid,
Dead.
these were your go-tos? Motel Massacre when you were a child?
Yeah. I mean, like
Cool.
me and my
Nice.
dad, like we just watched horror movies all the time.
Oh, that's
like when
awesome.
we would go to the
Yeah,
when we go to the video store, it was like we'd rent 2 or 3 horror movies and one like tearjerker for my mom, and it would always be we would, you know, get the food all ready, throw in the tearjerker, you know, watch it with my mom, or like just some kind of comedy, just something kind of light that my mom was into, and then she would like, you know, kind of retire, and then me and my dad would stay up late and watch all these horror movies.
That's
So,
awesome.
Great.
Yeah. You know, and like, you know, my parents are really cool. They're just such like radical people, and they were just always like just really chill about everything, and let me watch whatever I want. So like, you know, when Bobby Reese's boobies turned into monsters, me and my dad would be like, yeah, this is awesome. So, yeah, so that was kind of how it was.
Awesome,
Sweet,
dude.
sweet. That's great.
Yeah.
When you did start collecting, where was your favorite place to go and find tapes? Flea markets, secondhand stores, or like thrift stores? Where would you find the best tapes that you were into, or ones that you were looking for?
Flea markets. I think
markets,
flea
yeah.
markets were definitely like my go-to. Like, you know, Vineland U Cell Flea Market in Vineland, New Jersey. It's near where I grew up. Cowtown, which is in also in South Jersey. They would have a huge outdoor flea market section. There were just like tubs of VHS everywhere, and I would go there with my grandmom or go there with my friends on a Saturday morning, and we would just go out there and just look for cool shit. And you know, would always find tapes out there. It was easy pickings back then, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was before all this stuff exploded again, and you know, it was just it was just fun. You know, you'd go out there with like $5 and come home with like 20 movies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The guys with the porno mags always have the best tapes.
Oh, dude. Oh, dude.
Go through.
Yeah, man. I mean, lots of porno tapes out there.
One of our
Yeah.
biggest memories is like there's a town near us called Grafton. They got the big Grafton flea market, which is still open today. And I remember when we would go there as kids, they'd have the guys with the tables and the boxes that said like XXX VHS, like no kids, and they would take the flaps of the boxes and fold them up and tape them up so kids couldn't like reach in and grab what was in there. So
They'd
I always
have
remember that.
porno and like budget crossbows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, did you guys have the knife guy?
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
always
yeah.
a knife in
Yep.
store.
Oh, yeah.
And it was always like some Asian
the
lady selling
Atari
socks,
man, too.
you know?
Yeah, I mean that was fun. There was always these characters, you know what I mean? There was always these characters slinging certain stuff, and there was always like these old greasy dudes like slinging VHS tapes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Old porno mags and stuff. And I mean, like, you know, just good memories. Like just a different time, kind of. You know what I mean? So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you
it's
still go to flea markets and stuff like that, or mostly online now, or what's the best way for you to find tapes nowadays?
I go to a lot of Goodwills, a lot of Salvation Army secondhand stores. I still go to flea markets. You know, I really love the Goodwill outlets. I'm actually planning to go there after this. Like after I wrap up here, I'm
Sweet.
gonna hop in the whip and go check out the Goodwill.
awesome.
Yeah, the Goodwill outlets, because like I don't know if you guys have them where you are, but if you're familiar with the Goodwill outlets, but it's just all unsorted bins, man.
Oh, no
So
way.
it's,
Really?
like, you gotta-
Oh, really?
yeah, it's just like huge blue bins, and it's all unsorted junk. I mean, it's everything from like, you know, like clothes to shoes to, you know, I mean anything, man. But there's like you have to wear gloves because there's like sharp objects.
Right.
Oh, shit.
And like there's all kinds of weird shit in there. But I mean, you find some really cool stuff in there.
Awesome.
Are you still in New Jersey now, or?
No, I'm in Philly now. I've been living in Philly for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about Lunchmeat. How did that come to be?
Cool. So like I was working at a place called Relapse Records when I was about like 19, and I met a friend named Ted Gilbert who started Lunchmeat with me, and basically we were just really into film, and we would eat lunch together and just talk about movies. And we were both writing for Resound, which was the resource catalog for Relapse, which we'd write articles about like the DVDs and stuff that came in through the mail order because they didn't have horror DVDs. And then I was like, you guys should carry horror DVDs, because I was working in the mail order for Relapse at the time. So basically I was writing about this stuff and being the editor for that. And we were like, you know what, man, we should, we're talking about all these movies, and we realized a lot of these movies that we were watching weren't on DVD. Like, because we just watched tapes, we'd go out and like get tapes and stuff like that. We're like, man, we should write about this because nobody's really talking about it. You know what I mean? There was a few sites here and there, CritCon Online and Bleeding Skull were writing about these obscure movies, but we wanted to put something in print, talking about these films that were only on VHS that you could only see on tape. So that's what we did. We put that together, and it came out pretty good. We made like 250 of the first issue. And we sold a few, gave a bunch away so people could, read it, learn about it. And it's just really grown from there, man. That was about 9 years ago.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So like, yeah, so it all turned in from that, and then the website, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah. Just hopped on there. And it's really because I just want to spread it around, man. I mean, I feel like that I just want to spread that love and, just pay attention to like the movies and the culture, and it's just exploded, dude.
Oh,
I mean,
seriously.
It's so back now. You know what I mean? And that's really what I set out to do. Like what Ted and I set out to do when we started this is just bring attention back to the format and like what the format holds and all of the history behind it and all of the films and just how much excitement and fun and happiness is held in this stuff.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I mean, that was to see how it is now. It's just really, it's kind of exciting and sort of bewildering where like how big it is now, like seeing Blockbuster shirts back in Target and stuff.
Totally.
Is kind of, it's mind blowing, man, So,
absolutely. Yeah. I think it's that whole thing where, like those of us who are nostalgic for that stuff are all in our 30s or maybe early 40s now. And we have the income or the means to kind of get back that stuff from our childhood.
Yeah, trying to buy your childhood back.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of like everything where like after 25, 30 years, whatever that was was cool. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think now is definitely that time.
I can tell you from my experience at working at that comic book store, you could definitely see it because like when I started, I worked there for 9 years. And, 8-9 years ago, it was Transformers and G.I. Joes and stuff that were like late 80s toys. And that was what we always told people. They're like, I can't believe, like, I wanted this my whole life, and now I have this, Sergeant Slaughter figure, or this whatever, this. It's like, yeah, we're selling you your childhood back because now you can afford it.
Yep.
And it's great to see it, with tapes too, because I'm sure you've experienced this, and we've experienced it with a lot of movies that we've watched already. Is like we've seen it in Blockbuster, and for years it's stuck in our brain, and then finally we get a copy of it, and then it's just like, as a kid, being like, I want to watch that so bad, but I can't, or I've heard about this movie, and now I can finally find it, and now I have a credit card, so I can go on eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh, are there any movies like that because one that we watched and we love this movie, Silence of the Hams. That was a movie that we would always see, or at least myself would always see in the aisle at Blockbuster, but I never rented until we found copies later. Now, is there any movie like that you never got a chance to rent, and now as a grown man you finally were able to find?
I mean, honestly, dude, like I said, my parents were really, really awesome, and I rented so many movies back in the day. And I mean, like, I think the biggest thrill for me with VHS collecting is finding stuff that I don't know exists. Mm-hmm. So I think like going out there and finding stuff that like, it's like, oh man, I've never even heard of this. Like that's exciting for me. I think it's like, I just like finding new stuff, weird shit, like stuff that I just didn't know existed. And I think there's just so much material on tape that like, it's never ending. like if you're a VHS collector and you want to seek out that kind of stuff, like stuff that like if you want to go deeper down a rabbit hole, or you want to go deeper down into a certain director, or like, you know, a certain actress or actor, or like anything, or a certain, even like at this point, like VHS releasing labels, like you want everything that you want everything that's on Lightning or anything like that. I mean, it's just, that's the adventure that I really enjoy. And I think that's one aspect that like really keeps me going after tapes all the time, is that, you know, you can just find stuff that you didn't know about before. And I think like, you know, I think that's a really fun aspect of collecting for me.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. How many tapes do you think you have in your personal collection these days?
Oh, I don't know, man. You know, I don't have as many as you might think. I think I have like a couple thousand. I mean, like maybe 2,500.
Yeah,
it's a lot, you know. And I think like I'm pretty liberal with my tapes too. Like I trade them a lot, or like just give them to friends, or like, you know, I don't really sell them that much. But I mean, you know, it's like I'm always collecting stuff, so I have to like kind of like filter it out here and there, and like, you know. But I would say like a couple thousand maybe.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to me when I see, you know, there's so many different people out there that, you know, they got the one shelf at the house. I have a couple hundred. I haven't counted, but I have like, I don't have a cool place to put my stuff. So a lot of my tapes I just have in bins in a room, and I just kind of go through them when I want to watch something. Or so I don't know. I probably have a couple hundred, and then there's some people like that have thousands. And I'm like, man, I wish I had the room, you know? So.
Yeah, I have a whole room dedicated to my tapes. So I mean, so it's funny that when my friends come over, because of what I do with Lunchmeat, you know, and how I've been doing this for so long, they come in and they're like, "Huh, I thought you'd have more."
Oh, really?
Like, I'm like, okay, well, you know, I got a lot, so we can look through these.
Yeah.
But,
do you have any tapes that are like your prized possessions that like you could never let go? They're gonna stay with you forever.
Absolutely, man. I have hundreds of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's funny, man, because as I've seen collecting grow, and I've seen collector profiles come out, and like there's certain types of collectors that collect for certain reasons. And I think the most special tapes to me in my collection are the ones I had from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think that the ones that, you know, when I was 11, 10 years old, 12 years old, like I have a copy of Little Giants that I will never let go.
Yeah.
You know, I have, you know, home records of me and my parents that are just absolutely irreplaceable that I'll never let go. You know, copies of like All Dogs Go to Heaven, Land Before Time. I have a copy of Mother's Day that I've had since I was 17. I have a copy of Microwave Massacre. That was the first like big box that I really bought that I was like, this is amazing, and this is what I want to do. I want to collect stuff like this and get more movies like this.
That's awesome.
So a lot of stuff like that. But as far as like quote unquote collector tapes, I mean, like my original copy of America's Deadliest Home Video. I have a copy of this movie called Slaughterville, which, you know, not many people know about, which I'm really happy about. A friend found that for me. I have a Cops box set that comes with the 3 tapes and a hat and a mug and a shirt.
Oh, no way.
And a mustache.
Yeah. I already got the mustache.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's got its own special shelf. Tons of stuff.
Nice.
Like, tons of stuff I'll never let go. Funny story about that Little Giants. So I grew up watching that, you know, like that tape specifically, and I still have it. You know, and after learning more about like VHS and stuff like that as you get older, I looked at that copy of Little Giants and I'm like, hey man, this is a bootleg.
Oh,
like,
no way!
Like this isn't even like, because, you know, people were bootlegging stuff all throughout the 90s. So I look at it a little closer. Like nowadays, I think I realized this like 3-4 years ago. I looked at it and I was like, dang, this is a bootleg. This isn't even like an official release of this.
That is awesome.
It's one of those bootlegs that's made to look like a real one. It's not like a clam with like crappy art. It's like printed, but it's just like folded wrong, and the face label is all junky. And I'm like, oh man, well, it served me well.
Oh, that's so cool. That just makes it that much more special, you know?
Yeah, it really
That's
does.
so
It's
cool.
really funny.
Oh man, wicked cool,
Where
man.
is that guy today who bootlegged Little Giants? What prison cell is he sitting in right now?
He's probably sitting in a flea market prison cell.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably
my God.
got his own island from all those Little Giants that he sold.
That was a popular ass movie. You probably sold a ton of them, man.
Dude, I specifically remember renting on multiple occasions Little Giants.
you imagine this dude
Such
in
a
a
great
trench coat, just
Yeah.
like, I got little giants. I got little
Like,
giants.
hey, Sonny, what do you want? I got little
got the
giants
weight.
here.
I got the
I got
little
it all.
giant. I mean, there were actually people like that, though. I mean, like VHS tapes were the hottest commodity in the 90s.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, I
seriously.
feel like it was just a way of life. You know, it was like a coffee shop. You know what I mean? Like people go to
Yeah.
coffee shops on the regular, don't think about it, right? People just would rent tapes and buy tapes on the regular, don't even think about it. You know what I mean? And people would boot it. You know what I mean? And just, you know, because tapes are kind of still expensive in the 90s. I feel like
Oh,
they were
yeah.
like 20
Yeah.
bucks, 25
Yep.
bucks.
Yep.
You know, when you get a boot, like, hey, I got this for, you know, 10 bucks. And people are like, give me that.
Yeah,
You know? So,
absolutely, big
Yeah.
time. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Carpool.
it's
Yes,
so
please.
interesting how there were so many movies that I remember seeing on the shelves everywhere that today, like, you can't find. Like Dead Next Door used to be on the shelf at my video store that I grew up going to. I always remember seeing the cover with like the zombie head with like the little like thing on the mouth. And
yeah,
like,
the great, yeah.
like you can't find that today. I'm like, wait a minute, every video store had it. What do you mean you can't find it? You know what I mean? So like, it's just
Yeah.
interesting. Like stuff. I remember always looking at the cover of Cheerleader Camp, like seeing the
That's a
girl
great
cover.
with like the you know
Yeah.
the boobs are kind of coming out, and always seeing that, and like. You can't. It's hard to find today. You know what I mean? So like, I'm like, wait a minute. You could find that any day of the week. 15, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So like, it's just kind of funny how you know, like how do you feel about like how things have literally changed within even just like the last 5 years in terms of the VHS community and tape collecting?
I mean, I look at it a lot, man. So you have to understand I'm coming from a place where I was collecting in 2003, 2004, and I've seen the shape of VHS collecting change so much. I mean, it has just absolutely exploded. Like I said, I've seen different tape collector profiles come up, and it's just like, by profiles I mean like types of people that
Yeah,
collect
oh,
for
yeah.
certain reasons. You know what I mean? And it's
Yep.
just like some people want really sexy rare horror tapes that kind of like are, I think those kind of people are like either influenced by nostalgia or aesthetics or the people that they see around them on the internet, like what they want. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like they really want this Last House on Dead End Street tape. They really want this Tales from the Quad Dead Zone tape. And maybe they don't even know why they really want it, just that it's rare and it's sexy and it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, and you have those kind of VHS collectors that need Frankenhooker. They need the Willies. They need this. You know what I mean? And they're building this collection, which I think is awesome and rad. But I think like a byproduct of that is kind of the pricing, man. The pricing has gone insane.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's kind of turned me off. I mean, I honestly, dude, I don't even really go after horror tapes online anymore. It's too expensive.
Yep.
You know
I
what
agree.
I mean? But like,
Do you see a big?
what's that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you see a big? Have you seen a large shift in people who are just trying to make money off of it? Like, you know, they have these tapes and they're trying to, you know, do the buy low, sell high kind of flipping tapes. Do you see? Have you
Yeah.
seen more of that since, you know, early 2000s? Is that something that's more frequent these days with more people trying to, you know, collect a lot of the different genres and all that kind of stuff? Or is
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are people that specifically, I know friends of mine that go on road trips, go out, hit up video stores and come back and sell them on the internet. You know, they buy them for like $1, $2, $3. Who knows how much they really pay for it because they buy it in lots.
Mhm.
But then they sell it for $40, $50 a tape, you know, if you have like a sexy big box or something. And, you know, absolutely. I mean, if there is a demand there, there's going to be people that supply it,
right?
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, like, that's something that is a inherent part of modern VHS collecting culture. You know what I mean? And that's why I think
Collecting
with Lunchmeat,
anywhere.
yeah, exactly. Like that's an inevitable, inexorable part. So I mean, like, what I try to champion with Lunchmeat is to go out and have that adventure for yourself. You know, and I see a lot of people say, "Oh, it's dry. Like there's nothing out there anymore." And you know, I feel that struggle because I go out and sometimes I don't find anything. You know, but that's the same. It's the same thing with any kind of treasure hunting, any kind of collectible hunting. Sometimes
Yeah.
you go out, you don't find anything. But when sometimes you go out and you just make this huge score where you find this cache of like 10, 20 like radical tapes that you're really excited about. And I think like that's something that I'm in love with, you know, and I think like I write about that a lot because I feel like a lot of people do buy online because it's convenient and it helps people build their collections. I mean, it's an indispensable resource to have people like that doing that and putting it back into the community and saving them from all like oblivion. But I mean, like, I still go out and find cool shit, man. I'm really into special interest, and I find all kinds of weird special interest because I don't think that's really hit the jumping point yet where people want to pay $20 for like teen makeup videos, you know what I mean? Or like want to pay like $30 for like sushi at home, or like nude bowling.
Yeah,
you know
right.
$30 right now for sushi.
People pay $50 for street trash. People pay $50 for street trash, but they're not going to pay $50 for like how to carve Halloween pumpkins.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the latter is the kind of stuff that you'll still find in the wild, and you'll still find Frankenhooker and street trash in the wild if you're looking for it. But since people are really into street trash and Frankenhooker, etc., that stuff's going to get swiped up and sold and had a higher price tag. It's all a supply and demand kind of like economics thing when you really think about it.
Totally,
you know, man.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears a little tiny bit, and I really want to talk about. Your YouTube page, and I want to talk about Mid-Fright Snack in the worst way because I dig the living hell out of it. You have 2 episodes up, and okay. So for those of you people out there that have not seen this, please go watch this. It's like a weird It reminds me a lot of it's like a Pee-wee's Playhouse kind of aesthetic with some local access horror hosting flair, and like the jokes that are in there, and like the special your special effects with the prosthetics and stuff is so like up our alley. It's ridiculous. So tell us a little bit about like how that happened. What's the story about that?
So yeah, I mean, like my buddy Hayden Hall, who does Six Slice Cinema, it's really his project. He created it.
Oh, okay.
So Hayden is an artist, illustrator, painter, movie maker, just a really rad artist. And he's Rewind and Klein, VHS collector kind of dude. And he said, hey man, we're friends. He hit me up. He's like, I want to do a public access television show. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. He's like, do you want to be in it and help me write it? And I was like, yeah, sure. Let's work on it. So we worked on it for, like a week or something. And then we went to his house and we shot it in 2 days.
Nice.
And we were writing on the fly. We were writing jokes off the cuff. I mean, some of that stuff is improvised. And he did all the special effects. And we worked with Johnny Dickey, who also is a big videovore. I published some of his stuff. And he did Slaughter Tales and some other movies. But yeah, man, it's great to hear you say that because that's what we're going for. We're going for like a horror host public access mixed with like Pee-wee's Playhouse, kind of just like fun time, like, you know what I mean? And that's really how it came about. And we just went for it, man. We just made it. And it came out pretty good. So
yeah, I totally agree. Like it just like, especially like the pizza with the puns, like that stuff. Like I love that stuff.
We wrote all of those in like 30 minutes. We're like just sitting there, like literally eating pizza and just like making up pizza.
Like I eat that stuff up, man. Pun intended. Yeah. Like I love that stuff. Like it's so like I don't know, just totally up my alley. So I love it. Well the big thing is like for me it touches me because I run a local access TV station for my full-time job, and and I used to do all of us. We used to do a horror host TV show called Creepy Castle. And so, you got, like the cheesy Dracula costume, with the hair on, and like that's exactly like what we did. You know what I mean? So like it kind of gets back to it. So for us, it's kind of like, it connects to us. You know what I mean? Yeah. So and I dig the hell out of it. So
thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. I mean, it connects to us too. I mean, like this is stuff we love. I mean, I think at the end of the day, when when I make art with other people, I think really all it's about is just championing what you love. Yeah. And just doing something that you care about and just putting it back out into the world and just hoping that other people can enjoy it and get something out of it. Maybe either entertain or inspire or whatever they get from it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, what's up, Kev?
I was going to say, do you do a lot of collaborations with different artists for different projects? Is it stuff you like to incorporate with the Lunchmeat stuff?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the most important thing that's what's really grown Lunchmeat over the years, I have other writers and stuff for the magazine. I do most of the writing on the website, but, and I do a lot of writing for Lunchmeat in general, but even with like my t-shirts or like stickers or like anything, I mean, or, you know, installations, you know, I think it's really important to collaborate with other artists, because it's the more voices you have in there, you know, the more well-rounded, the more like vibrant it can be. And I've always been a big fan of collaborating with other artists that think the same way as you. So you get all these elements in there and it just creates this bigger world. And I think it's just really important to do that. And I think it's been an inherent part of building Lunchmeat and spreading the word, you know, and just getting a bunch of different voices in there that believe in the same kind of thing and enjoy the same kind of thing.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you. As
Yeah.
we grill you away today. So,
That's all good.
I just saw your T-shirt, man. It's awesome.
Oh, thanks,
Oh,
dude.
sweet!
Yeah,
It
this
just
is
suddenly
an
the
oldie.
text came up. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
yo. So for those of you who cannot see that, he's got the sweet Evil Dead 2 T-shirt on. So
For
Yeah.
everyone who cannot see it.
everybody who cannot see this.
For everyone listening who can't watch this pre-recorded video,
Yeah,
Skype
right.
chat.
That we're not recording. So so Kev and I, when was it, April or so, we went to Magnetic Fest 2 in Connecticut.
Awesome.
Because we're in Central Mass, and it was like a 2-hour drive down the pike to get down there. And we saw that Lunchmeat was one of the sponsors of it. And
Yeah.
and we were told that sponsorship was for the Adjust Your Tracking to be aired. So what was your what was your place with Adjust Your Tracking?
I just helped co-produce it. So, I mean, Dan Kinham and Levi Heretic, who created the film, came to me and my buddy Matt Desiderio, who does Horror Boobs, and we helped them produce it. Like, we helped them get interviews, and, you know, we advised them, and we helped get it out there when it came out, you know, and we helped, you know, just put it out there, man. I mean,
Awesome.
like, we all worked together, and, you know, it was a lot of Dan and Levi, but I mean, after you know, they made the film, but I mean, like, I was just involved with getting interviews and you know, just the basic production of making it, just the whole
Gotcha.
idea of what to do and what to talk about, and like what, you know, I mean, it was a long time ago now, but I mean, like, it's really great to look back and see that people are still watching it and still looking at it, and that it's become one of the VHS collector docs. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really, really cool doc.
Yeah, I bought it on DVD when it came out, and it was my birthday. He came over to my house and we watched it.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild to look back and watch that and see how much everything's changed even since then.
yeah.
So, yeah.
The people interviewed on that, were they people that you already had good connections with, or did you have to reach out a lot to people who you didn't really know before? Was there a lot of networking?
Yeah,
as,
I mean,
as far
some-
as like, oh, does anyone know, you know, anyone who, I don't know, had a video store or whatever?
I think it was a mixture of both. You know what I mean? I think it was people that I knew, and then we were reaching out to people, and like as they were traveling, you know, they would interview a bunch of people. And I mean, like, there's a lot of people that were interviewed that didn't make it in there. That's why there's so much extra footage and stuff. So I mean, like, it was a lot of like people that I knew from just doing Lunchmeat, or like, you know, doing interviews with other people, and just kind of connecting those dots and trying to make the best doc we could. You know what I mean? Get the best content, get the best voices in there
Awesome.
Right.
that really represented it. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. So we're getting close over here to running out of time, but so just that way, so if anybody who's listening who may, you know, obviously you're one of the big names in the community, but for any of those people who are new in the community or maybe want to get into it and they want to get into your stuff, how you know, what kind of stuff can people reach you at? You know, obviously there's the website, there's the Instagram and whatnot. So can you just list them all up
What's
for
your
us?
home address?
Yeah, right. Yeah. What's the social security number?
You guys want to
You know?
come over and watch some movies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really into it?
Yeah. We'll get some pizza.
Be there
Yeah.
in like
Yeah, pizza,
6 or 7
nachos, beer.
hours.
Yeah.
You can just check out lunchmeatvhs.com, and I would recommend looking through the blog because I try to update it as much as possible. The Instagram, I try to do daily content. Twitter, it's all Lunchmeat VHS. If you just look up Lunchmeat VHS, you'll find it. There's a store on there with all my stuff, the magazine. I'm always doing events, at least, you know, once a month, a couple times a month. Museum of VHS. I'm doing VHS swaps here in Philly. I'm always trying to get involved, like that Magnetic Fest, get involved with other people's stuff and put it out there. So like anything that's happening that, you know, the thing is I can't cover it all nowadays because there's so much going on. But
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
just Lunchmeat VHS, man. If you look that up, you'll find it. And hopefully you enjoy it.
Nice. No, one other little question I had was, how did you guys create the name? Like, what made you guys think Lunch Meat?
Well, it's funny because, like I said, we would have lunch, right, and talk about these movies, and it kind of like that was the genesis of it. And we had a couple names bopping around, and there was, I think, like 3 or 4 names that we were wanted to do, but eventually, like, I was just obsessed with the movie Lunch Meat.
Oh, okay.
You guys familiar with this?
I gotcha.
Yeah. So I was like, Lunch Meat, that's great. I'm just gonna use that. So that's what it's from.
All right, cool,
Yeah.
man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Awesome. Awesome.
On top of VHS, is there anything else that you collect? It's pretty much all
Yeah,
VHS.
I mean, like, just like knickknacks and like toys, stuff like that. Anything that like kind of like is cool. I mean, I'm a collector, so I mean,
Yeah.
I could start collecting something tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Now, VHS really takes up a lot of my collector energy, but I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Nothing else major. you know.
Nothing else major.
That's
I mean,
fair.
like I like the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm into football,
Mhm.
so
There
I
you
mean,
go.
like I get like a bunch of vintage Philadelphia Eagles stuff. I'm always looking for vintage Eagles games. So
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
like record it off TV and have a few stuff like that. So
Cool. Cool.
yeah, posters and toys and the same kind of stuff you'd expect. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So, just like nerdy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
we're all
absolutely.
there. I don't know if you see his
Yeah.
shirt. He has a big collection of these
I
things.
see the Funko shirt.
yeah.
Yeah. He's got a whole wall of them.
I'm embarrassed to say.
Now, is there any grail out there that you have not gotten your hands on that you need for your collection?
I get this question a lot, and I mean, I don't know if I really focus on certain tapes. I'll see tapes and I'll like write it down, but I think like I said before, and I'll reiterate it, I think I'm always looking for a new Holy Grail, man, because it's like, I don't know if that makes sense because the Holy Grail, like, paradigm, but I mean, that's what I love. I love going out and just finding something I never knew existed and then really
Right.
getting into it and then watching it and just being blown away by it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's the joy of it for me. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like if I can, I can give you a little story. I don't know how much time we have. It's probably take like 3 minutes or something.
Sure, go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's- yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was in the library the other day, okay, and I was just looking at books, and this library also has VHS tapes stuck into the stacks.
Nice.
And there was this movie called Dutchman. Have you guys heard of this movie?
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so I'd never heard of it either at the time, and I was like, hey, well, this looks cool, and I read the back and everything, and so I rented it from the library, and I took it home. I just watched it before I talked to you guys, and it absolutely blew me away. So it's pretty classic films, black and white, and it was made in like the high times of like racial tension, and it's about this black gentleman on a train, and this white woman kind of like seduces him, and she's really wild and like bizarre and kind of neurotic, and it's just rife with like racial and sexual and like existential tension, and it was adapted from a play, and it was just really one of the most powerful movies I've seen in a long time. And I think like just the adventure of going through and randomly finding a VHS tape in the library and being like, I'm going to watch this. And then like all of a sudden it just enriches like your total cinematic scope and your total like experience of looking for new movies. I mean, I don't know. I just really love that movie, and I would recommend it to anybody if they haven't seen it. It's called Dutchman. Really,
Right.
really
Great
powerful.
story, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, really powerful piece of film, and it's only 55 minutes. It's a breeze. It's adapted from a play,
Okay.
and it's really powerful, and it's like this poetic descent into total fury. And I think it was really powerful at the time because of all the racial tension and everything. I thought it was really cool.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Cool,
Yeah.
dude.
That's awesome.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Do you mainly see movies just on VHS, like at home? Do you go out to the movies, like to a movie theater a lot?
I wouldn't
More-
say a lot, but I do.
Yeah.
I went and saw Baby Driver with my buddy Ted, and
oh,
that was
cool.
really fun. I thought that movie was really cool. I'll go to the movies sometimes if there's something that like I want to see, or if one of my buddies is like, "Hey, you want to go to the movies?"
Right on.
I just love film, man.
Do you
And
have
I think
any-
like,
Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
no, you're okay.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
Do you have any movie theaters around you that do they'll run like older stuff, or they'll do I don't know, it's not a second run theater, but it's more like a specialty Not quite.
Kind of
maybe-
like an Alamo Draft House kind of a thing.
Yeah,
or-
I guess
okay.
like an art house kind of thing. Like in Boston, there's a big one, Somerville, or no, Coolidge Corner.
Yep.
And they'll just do like, it's the anniversary of Halloween, so we'll show a Halloween movie, or like they had a trauma movie go through, and they had a Q&A with Lloyd Kaufman there, and all that kind of stuff. Is there anything cool like that around you, or?
Yeah, absolutely. There is this place that I totally love called Mahoning Drive-In Theater. I just did VHS Fest there in early July.
Right.
Yeah, and that place is just a beautiful place, man. I mean, they do so much cool stuff, and they have all these like great themes, like Camp Blood and like, Back to the Future, Christmas in July kind of stuff.
Oh,
and
cool.
the crew there is just an amazing group of people. They do really cool work, and if anybody is near Mahoning Drive-In, where is it? It's in Lehighton, Pennsylvania. It's like 2 hours from Philly or so, maybe a little less. I would definitely recommend go checking out what they're doing, because they do amazing stuff.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I remember seeing all the listings about VHS Fest, and I'm like, oh God, like it's 5 hours away. Like,
Yeah.
could I do it? Is my wife gonna let me go
Yeah,
for a couple days? Yeah,
we
we were talking about
contemplated
that.
it. It's just like, could we make
Dude,
it?
it was
one day?
surreal.
So-
It was such a blast, man. I stayed up all night. I watched the sun come up at that drive-in. So we're gonna do it again next year. So
Awesome.
if you can get your permission slip, man, come out.
Yeah,
and
right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we can do.
party. Yeah, dude, I'd love to see you guys. It'd be really fun.
Awesome, cool, brother. Well, we are just about out of time, but I absolutely, from all of us here, we cannot thank you enough for connecting with us
Oh,
here.
yeah, seriously,
And-
thank you.
and-
It's
and
my
thank
pleasure.
you.
man.
having a
Real
chat.
cool.
So
Yeah.
It was,
cool.
it was great to have you. Awesome to learn about all that stuff. Dane was the one who was like, there's this guy, like, there's this Instagram Lunchmeat VHS, like, you got to check it out. And Dane's a big fan, got us into it. So
Cool, man. Thank you so much. Man. I really appreciate it, dudes. It was really cool.
my
Cool.
pleasure.
Cool.
So
You'll have to come back and watch a movie with us sometime.
Dude, I would love to do that.
Oh,
That'd be
yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
Go
want to
through your
watch?
collection and-
What do we want to watch?
Yeah. What do you want to watch? We'll watch it all together. So what I'll do is this is how we get Topher to do it. Was I just take the computer camera and I put it up to the TV, so he gets to watch the movie with us, and then we just record and talk about it right afterwards.
yeah.
Or if we have the same copy, we can try and sync it up the best we can.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we just did that with Split Second and Back to the Beach. So
Yeah, Back to the Beach is so fun.
Yeah.
Rutger Hauer rules.
Yeah.
First thing that came to my head, actually, I don't know, for whatever reason, is Girlfriend from Hell.
oh
Ooh, I mean,
man,
that sounds awesome.
I know I've only seen the cover and it looks totally bitchin', and I want to get my hands
man,
on
I used
it.
to watch the shit out of movies for years, man.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
if I can get my hands on it, then we'll watch it together. All right.
It's fun. It's a fun movie.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome,
Sweet,
man. That'd be bitchin'. So cool.
Great.
Cool.
Well, from all of us bandits, thanks again, Josh. Lunchmeat VHS. Definitely check out his website, his Facebook, his Instagram, all the ways you can find him. And yeah, so thanks again. I think that's gonna wrap up our interview episode. Thanks for listening. As always, be kind and real.